Hey everybody, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. You know what's one thing I don't really talk about much? The Wild West. I think that would be kind of obvious actually, because the Wild West isn't really represented in animation very much, unless it's some kind of stereotypical, really, really badly executed one-off piece, something like that. But, well, it's also kind of my fault too, because I've never really sat my ass down and watched any of the classic Western movies. It's just not really my thing. But, what if I were to tell you that this Western movie starred anthropomorphic animals? Well, sign me up, Jack, and let's get me a good, hot, dusty plate of Rango. Rango was created by 4 separate production companies, including Nickelodeon Movies. It was directed by Gore Verbinski, who created the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, quadrilogy, centrilogy, whatever, and it was distributed by Paramount Pictures in March 2011. The movie went on to be nominated and then win the Academy Award for Best Animated Film, the first non-Pixar film to win that award since Happy Feet in 2006. Sorry guys. Better luck next year. So, I was going to say, let's put on a cowboy hat or something to take a gander at Rango, but I don't own a cowboy hat, so I guess I'm just gonna have to settle for my big-ass rifle here. Rango, ladies and gentlemen. So, the plot of Rango is, in essence, basically a mashup of different Western movie tropes, but presented with a little modern flair to keep it interesting. A pet chameleon is thrown from his home and becomes stranded in the Mojave Desert. After venturing out into the sun-scorched lands, he finds a small town of animals called Dirt, and lies his way to becoming the sheriff of the town, calling himself Rango as he does so. The residents are racked with a devastating drought, and it's up to Rango to find out what's causing the water to dry up. Like I said, this plot doesn't deviate too much from the standard textbook movie conflict, especially since, there's going to be a big liar revealed scene at one point, but since this movie is more of an homage, it wears its worn plot jacket well, and still comes off as being entertaining, even if it smells of age and sweat a bit. And man, does this movie have a colorful cast of characters, even though the primary color in this movie is, well, brown. The chameleon who calls himself Rango is the supposed hero of the story, though he has a severe identity complex and longs to find companionship and purpose in his existence. And he attempts to find such things by being a dirty, lying bastard. Rango is charming enough, and his efforts to maintain his heroic facade is pretty amusing most of the time, but because his whole persona is based on a lie, it's pretty obvious that the infamous liar reveal plot point is going to rear its ugly head at some point. Still, though he builds his personality on a lie, he's still a fun guy to watch, and I'd ride with him any day of the week. The supporting characters, like Beans, a feisty rancher's daughter who has a dysfunctional survival mechanism that causes her to freeze up every now and then, the mayor, who's by default the bad guy, because the mayor is always the bad guy, Rattlesnake Jake, a scary motherfucking gunslinger who apparently slithered up from the depths of hell itself, Priscilla, a Maddie from True Grit lookalike who speaks candidly, and all the rest of the townsfolk bring a lot of laughs, but not a whole lot else in terms of depth. But that's okay. It's a movie, you can't expect every side character to have a backstory. So, what's good about this movie? What's good, you ask? Let me think. Oh yeah, pretty much fucking everything! Alright, without exaggerating too much here, I'll just say that the CG in this movie kicks so much ass that the farmers had to start riding raccoons. To put it in terms that everyone can understand, this is simply some of the finest CG I've ever seen. While Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks use their CG to create light and cartoonish worlds, this movie's CG creates a harsh, dry, sun-bleached world that makes you feel like you're getting a heat stroke from just watching it. And that's fantastic! It's so rare to see this kind of terrain and atmosphere featured for a whole animated movie instead of just for a brief little while. And look at these goddamn character designs! You can just smell the dysentery coming off of them. Not a single person, nor prop, nor set piece feels out of place in this movie, and it's quite a spectacle if I do say so myself. Plus, this movie is funny as crap. You would think, given that Nickelodeon was behind a portion of the production of this movie, it would be a silly romp for the little bastards, right? Well, no, actually it isn't. In fact, it's decidedly not for children, thank God. It's not just in the language that shows that this movie is for adults, but the jokes are basically all centered around sex, violence, nods to movies children have never seen or even heard of, and oh hey look, there's a couple prostitutes, how nice! Just the amount of smoking in this movie is enough to raise some eyebrows. Not to me, personally, I don't care, but when was the last time you saw anyone smoking in a fucking animated movie? It's clear someone's goal was to push as far as they could before they broke, and I respect that decision wholeheartedly. Plus, the action sequences are pretty awesome as well, and put some genuine thrills onto the table. They are marvels of CG animation, and just get more and more impressive every time you watch them, much like the movie itself. While I did mention that the plot isn't really the most original of ideas, it is still very well written, intelligent at the best of times, and chuckle-worthy at the worst. I always say that you can turn a desert into an ocean with just the right set of words, and that axiom is represented here almost flawlessly. Almost. And that leads me into the couple nitpicky things I have with this movie, and trust me, they are not at all deal breakers, but they are still worth mentioning. While I do think they're funny sometimes, I'm honestly not a big fan of these mariachi burrowing owls. In fact, it's not really only them, I'm just not a fan of any story that requires narration. A story should be told by the characters and their actions, not by someone reading a storybook by the fire. At least their narration is funny, but it still irks me a bit. Plus, well, the entire time, from beginning to end, the movie makes a promise that Rango will die at the end. But then he doesn't. To be fair, he didn't have to die, but I still don't really appreciate bait and switches. If you promise something, you should deliver it. And if you can't deliver it, don't offer it in the first place. Rango is an intelligent and grossly entertaining throwback to the days of the spaghetti western, and even though this particular genre is pretty much out of my radar, I still find it fun to kick up some dust while this movie kicks some ass. I give Rango 4 eyes out of 5. So, Rango, is it watchable? Yeah, it really is. It not only is a spectacle for the eyes, but it's also a treat for the soul. Is it enjoyable? Yes, it actually really is. It's got something in it that I know at least everyone is going to enjoy, because even if you're not a fan of westerns, the comedy might be good, the character designs might be good, slapstick might be good. It's got something in it for everybody, it really does. Is it memorable? Well, no, not really. That's the problem though, is that this movie has so many aspects of it that can be memorable, but nobody really seems to remember it very much. It kind of just came and went. It got swept up in the rest of the animated blockbusters and it just sort of faded away. Just drifted away like a hot desert wind. And even though I'm not a fan of westerns, I still say that maybe this movie needs to come back in a blaze of glory, like the western stars of old. You see that? You see that there? Wild West, motherfucker. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my review of Rango. I hope you liked it. Because I forgot to do this last time, I'm just gonna do a couple shoutouts here. One is to Pixel Flicks, who did the opening theme song animations. He did an amazing job on them, so if you want to check out his channel, there's a link to his channel below in the description. He does pixel art and other stuff, so if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. Plus, I'd like to give a shout out to Mario Ramirez and Patricia Pagowski. Mario did the in-between animations on the series review, which I'm going to be using every time now, the good, the bad, characters and story animations, and Patricia did the designs on the favorite episode and least favorite episode cards. They both did great jobs, and there's links to their websites in the description below. Plus, if you want to check out more of my videos, just click the links playing in the video right now to check them out. And as always, if you have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on, you can leave me a message in the YouTube comments, on any one of my social media platforms, or just any way you can think to message me and I will add them to my list. Alright? Thanks again for watching everybody, and I will see you next week for another review.